On this video, we're going to take a look at angles that are created within a circle. So for the first one we're going to look at is a central angle, and that is an angle whose vertex is the center of a circle. So you can see over here, I'm giving you an area to draw this. So we have the vertex at the center, and then I draw two radii for the sides of the angle, and that's a central angle. So one thing to remember about a central angle is central arcs are congruent to the central angle. So if I know the arc, I know the angle. If I know the angle, I know the arc created. And the arc is just from end point to end point here, the length of this section. So they're the same degree measure. All right, so the next one is an inscribed angle, and it has a vertex on the circle. So not on the center of the circle, but on the circle. So you can see it's two chords drawn to the same point where their vertex is. So it's an angle kind of going all the way across. They have a slightly different angle relationship, but we'll deal with that in another video. We're not actually going to deal with that on this one quite yet. So just be aware that is a different angle relationship. It's not congruent. All right, and if we have 2 points that lie on a diameter, so like this, we call that arc a semicircle. So because we're going halfway across the circle, so semicircle is the same thing as saying half a circle. So it's literally when we divide the circle in half. Semicircles are 180 degrees because it's halfway around the 360-degree circle. All right, we have 2 ways to name arcs on this one. So we have a shorter arc, and we call that the minor arc. We have a longer arc that is the major arc. So up here you can see I've got the major arc going all the way around, and I'm just using the central angle as my kind of guide here. So the major arc is the larger one going kind of on the outside of the angle, and then the minor arc is the arc created by the angle itself. Okay, so we name these in slightly different ways. So the minor arc, we just write the 2 endpoints. So whatever the 2 points are here, and they'll label those for us on the diagram they give us. So because I can very simply go from here to here. Well, to name the major arc, I can't use just those same 2 endpoints. I have to use those endpoints with another point in between. And I also have to put a little arc symbol over the top of the naming. But the reason I can't just use the endpoints is because if I just use the same 2 endpoints, I'm not sure which direction to go. Do I go the minor arc direction, or do I go all the way around? Because either way, I get the same, idea there if I went from endpoint to endpoint. So by including another point just somewhere else that's out here, I know that I'm going this direction. I'm going the major arc instead of just that little minor one. All right, so let's go ahead and practice this. So this is our Alex problem here, and it says, in the circle below, K is in the center. So we can see K is in the center, and it also tells us that LN is a diameter, which we can see here. It also gives us that angle LKM is 130 degrees, which they've labeled for us there. So we're going to use this information to fill in the blanks. So we have 5 questions here, and the first one say, give a central angle, give a semicircle, give a major arc. So with these ones, they just want us to name these 3 things. Just give them one of them that are in the diagram, and there may be more than one. You just choose one to name. So if I want a central angle, I could go with the central angle that's created here because I'm going to focus on the center here. So here's a central angle. I have this MKL, or I could go LKM. Either way would work. Or, since it's the central angle, I could also focus on the small one here that they didn't give me the degree angle for, which would be MKN. So I could focus on either one. Either one of these is a central angle. And you can switch the letters around. The only thing that needs to stay is the K has to be in the center because that's my vertex. So the vertex always goes in the center of your naming when you're using 3 points. All right, so part B says give a semicircle. So with a semicircle, I need to identify my diameter, which they gave me. So I could either go NPL this direction, and because it's a longer one, I need to make sure I can't just say NL, I need to make sure that I say which direction am I going. So it'd be NPL, or I could go NML. So I need to make sure I use that 3rd point so that I know which direction am I heading here. And make sure you put the little arc symbols above so that we know that it's, an actual arc. It's a semicircle. That is the kind of large arc there, but it's still an arc. All right, so part C says give a major arc. So in this one, we can go back and we can focus on the 2 central angles because those are kind of the easiest ones to do. So I could focus on the arc that's created. If I look at the 130 degrees, I could go around the outside of this arc, right? So I could go M, N, L. So I have, and I went NPL when I typed it in. As long as I'm using one of the two letters that's in between, that's fine. So it could be MNL or MPL. Either way, that's fine. It should have the two endpoints on it though, so I know where to begin and end. Or I could focus on the smaller arc, or the smaller angle that I looked at the beginning here, and I could go from this point over to this point, right? Because that's where the arc is. So the major would be NPM, or I could label it NLM. Again, as long as I'm using one of these 2 points for that center, so that I know I'm going this direction, but I need that N and M to be my endpoints. So I could also switch the M and the N because I could go this direction. So quite a few different ways to type in these same answers. All right, the last two, since this says find the measure of, that's what that little M means. Now I'm going to actually have to give an angle measure or a degree measure for the arc. So find the measure of arc, LM. So if I'm looking at the angle here for LM, here's my arc, and I'm going to look at the angle measure for the center, because this is a central angle from endpoint to endpoint. That's what's creating the arc. So the arc is going to be the same degree as that angle. So it's simply just 130 degrees because it's a central angle creating that arc. All right, the last one here is arc LMN. So LMN, well, that's a semicircle, right? That's created by this diameter that we can see. So, and remember, that was one of the notes we wrote. The diameter is equal to, or a semicircle, sorry, is equal to 180 degrees. So once I know that it's on a diameter, it is a semicircle, it's a 180 degree arc. All right, so that was angles within a circle. I hope that helped, and I'll see you in the next video.